Hello, the title of this video is A Beginner's Guide to Sitemap. The purpose of this video is to help you understand the basics of sitemaps, their types, and how you can use them to help your search engines crawl your site better. So let's start with what is a sitemap. A sitemap is a file that contains information about pages, videos, and files on your website and how they are related. It also tells things like when the pages were last updated and if there are any alternate language versions of the page. This means that sitemap is a file and it includes all of the information about how many pages you have on your website and what kind of pages you have. Suppose you have PDF pages, you have simple HTML pages and images and videos. So a sitemap will include all of these type of information, and it will also tell search engines when this page was last updated and if there are any alternate language version of the page, like you have a single page but this is also available in 3 different languages. The next thing that you want to know is, do you need a sitemap? So the first thing is that if your site pages are internally linked correctly, Google can usually discover most of your site. This means that if you are following a good internal linking structure, then it should not be a problem for search engines like Google or any other search engines to find and discover any URLs on your site. The next thing is that a sitemap can make it easier for search engines to explore and understand larger or more complicated website and specific files. Generally, a sitemap is only needed when you have a large website, you have like hundreds, tens, thousands, or maybe millions of URLs on your site. It will help search engines to understand what kind of pages you have, how many pages, or maybe if you have specific kind of files you want search engines to index or crawl. In those cases, you might need a sitemap. And the next thing is that who needs a sitemap? So you need a sitemap if your site is large. Large means you have a few hundreds, maybe thousands or 10,000, millions of pages on your site, and your site is new, relatively new, and it doesn't have any backlinks, because Google bot or any other search engine bot crawls web through links, and if your website has no backlinks, then it would make sense for you if you make a sitemap. But again, if you have a good internal linking structure, search engines should be able to find and crawl your site. The next is that you have a lot of media content. This means that you have a lot of images, a lot of video based content on your site and you want it to be indexed. That's when you might need a sitemap. And the last thing is that you have news pages on the site. So suppose you are a news publication or something like that, then you might need a sitemap. But because we are talking about WordPress here, so in WordPress, sitemap automatically generates if you are using an SEO plugin like Rank Math or Yoast or something. But this is just a general information. The next is who doesn't need a sitemap. If your website is small, it has 500 or fewer pages, and if your website has great internal linking structure, we already talked about this, and you don't have a large amount of media files, and lastly your site doesn't have news pages. Why we are talking about news pages like this, I will tell you in the next video, but for now I'm just telling you that the news pages are something that needs to be crawled and indexed quickly than other kind of pages. That's why you might need a sitemap to automatically and quickly tell search engines that this is a news page and you want it to be indexed. And here is a note that a sitemap only helps search engine discover the URLs on your site. It doesn't guarantee that search engines will crawl and index those pages. This means that if you are making a sitemap or if you have made a sitemap and you have hundreds of pages, hundreds of URLs in them, it is not important or it is not necessary that search engines will crawl or index these pages. It is just a way to tell the search engines that, look, I have these many pages on my website. It is up to you if you want to crawl and index them or not. It is the decision of the search engine bot that if they want to crawl the page and index the page, and it will depend on a huge amount of factors. We are not talking about those factors, but I'm just telling you this thing. The next thing is that which pages should be added to the sitemap. Now you may be wondering, you have a lot of different pages on your website, and it is not important that you should add every single type of page on your website. So the first type of page is indexable pages. The indexable pages are the one that can be indexed. So for example, your HTML pages, your images, or maybe your videos. These are the pages that can be indexed. You don't want your JavaScript or CSS files to be indexed, or other preferred URLs, which is known as canonicals. So canonicals are the versions of a page which is the preferred version, like you want this page to be indexed. I will tell you a little bit about this, that if you have a single page on your website, a post, and if this post have different versions, so for example, you have added URL parameters like the UTM source, UTM medium, and your URL becomes too long, the page which is original and the page which has URL parameters will be treated as different pages in the eyes of Google. So you want to ensure that you are adding a canonical tag to specify which page is your preference, and it is a hint, it is not a directive. So any kind of page which is your preferred URL and a canonical page, it should be included in the sitemap. And any other kind of page that you think are important and should be included in the sitemap. The thing that I want to talk about is the category and tag pages. It is a controversial thing that some people say category and tag pages should be indexed or should be included in the sitemap, and on the flip side, many people say that they should not be included in the sitemap. It is up to you. If the category and tag pages are actually providing value to users, and you have tons of pages on your site and you want to group them together because it will help users to find content better, then it is a good practice that you should include those pages in the sitemap. Most of the times, the plugins which you are using like Rank Math and Yoast will include the category pages and tag pages by default in their sitemap, but this is something you can adjust later whether or not you want them to be indexed or not. Now we are talking about different types of sitemap. So there is HTML sitemap and there is XML sitemap. Now we are talking about HTML sitemap. HTML sitemap is basically a page that lists all the pages on the website. It is very different in terms of looks and everything from XML sitemap, and it is usually located in the footer. You may not have seen people adding their XML sitemaps in the footer, but the HTML sitemap is added in the footer because it is intended for users and not search engines. It is, if you are making or if you are thinking about HTML sitemap, it is only and only for user purpose. It can help search engine because you have internally linked all the pages on your website, and it can help Google search engines to discover pages on your site, but mainly it is for users to find and navigate the website. And lastly, it helps in internal linking, as I told before. So here are some examples I have listed for you. You will find them in the slides, which I will link in the description below. So right now we are at eBay sitemap, and this is how it looks. So it has all the categories and all the kind of main category pages, and you can see like it has every single kind of page on their website. Similarly, this is another sitemap which has all the pages listed. So as you can see, the HTML sitemap looks very different from an XML sitemap. For example, let me show you the sitemap of Packted. So you can access the sitemap of any website by typing sitemap.xml at the end of the site's name. Usually it is where it is located. So this is the sitemap, and it has three different types of sitemap, which is post, page, and category. I have added my category pages because they are kind of important. So here you can see that it includes all of the URLs. It includes how many images it has and when it was last modified. This is a sitemap. This is how a sitemap looks on a WordPress website. But yeah, it is different when you look at a normal sitemap. Now we are talking about how to make an HTML sitemap. So for HTML sitemap, you have to install a plugin or something, because I am not aware if you can make sitemap without plugins, because then you have to constantly add pages to the sitemap page. But yeah, if you are using plugin like Rank Math, they offer a feature that helps you make a sitemap. So let me show you that feature. So here we are in the WordPress dashboard, and when, like, you can see that in Rank Math, in sitemap settings, in HTML sitemap, here is an option that you can enable the HTML sitemap. I have not enabled my sitemap because I don't need to, and there is no need for me to do that. But yeah, here is an option that you can make HTML sitemap right into the Rank Math without installing any other plugin. The real question here is that, do you really need HTML sitemap? And the answer is no. If you have a good internal linking structure, then there is no need for you to have an HTML sitemap, because if you have a good internal linking structure, Google, users will be able to navigate your site better, because you have internal linking set up, and your important pages can be found through your navigation, which is your header or footer, and this eliminates the need of HTML sitemap. Again, the next point is, most people make HTML sitemap instead of optimizing the site. This means that they are ready to make HTML sitemap, but they're not ready to optimize their site internal linking structure, which is not a good thing. So if you feel like you need an HTML sitemap, then you should focus on improving the website structure, because that is more important than confusing users and search engines. Or maybe make an HTML sitemap a different page. And I have made a post on my website about HTML sitemaps. You can read this post. I will link to this post in the description. Next we are talking about is XML sitemap. So XML sitemap is similar to HTML sitemap, except it is a very different one. I have already showed you XML sitemap. So XML sitemap is a page, again, it lists all of the website essential pages, and it is located in the root folder of the website. So the HTML sitemap does not need to be located in the root folder, but XML sitemap, generally it should be located in the root folder of the website. Like, it should be your website name.com/sitemap.xml. It should not located in a folder or in a subfolder or something like that. There are cases where people have added their sitemap in different folders or subfolders to test things out. The thing is that you should include the sitemap's URL in the robots.txt of your website, because it helps Google to find where the sitemap of the website is. And it is intended for search engines, and it helps crawlers discover URLs on your site. Again, it only helps in discovering URLs, and it is not a thing that will guarantee that your pages will get indexed or crawled. And it helps provide additional information about pages. I will tell you what kind of information are we talking about. So these are tags in XML sitemap, and these are the things that I was talking about, that sitemap provides additional information about a site. So first I will discuss with you all of the tags, and then I will show you a sitemap that includes all of these tags. So the first tag is URL set. This is basically a standard, and the sitemap file should open and close with this tag, just like the HTML tag in an HTML document. And next is the URL. This is the parent tag for each URL entry. Like, before adding any URL, you should add this tag. And then the location tag, it is basically the URL of the page. And next is last modified. This tells search engines when the page was last modified. Next is change frequency, like how frequent the page will change. So the values are always, like, it is changing every single time, and hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or never. So these are the values you can add to this tag, and the next is priority. This tells basically to bots that how important this page is for you and how important this page is within this sitemap. The value ranges from 0.0 to 1.0. If you indicate every page on your sitemap to be 1.0 priority, then it means that you are not setting any priority at all. So here I have a sitemap for you. This sitemap only includes the required things. So as I have talked before, there are some things that are required in the sitemap, and which is the URL set. This is the standard thing, and the sitemap starts and ends with this tag. So next is the URL tag. This tag has information about a single URL. So the next is the location tag. This only includes the page of the website and it ends with the location tag. And the next is last modified. So this is the time and date on which it was last modified. And again, this sitemap only includes the important the required tags. But so this is a sitemap which also includes the optional tags along with the required tags. So again, this sitemap starts with the URL set. It has the URL tag, the location tag, the last modified tag, and it has the change frequency tag. So it says that this particular page is changed daily. I don't know why they have done this, because why an about page should be changed daily? Like, we are not discussing that, but still the frequency is that it changes daily, and it is a 0.6 priority. So another example that we can see, that this blog page, I think it should be a blog archive page. It has a priority of 1. That means that it is a highest priority and it should be crawled more often, because this page is changed daily. Lastly, we are talking about the ways by which you can submit your sitemap to Google. The first way is that you can use the Google Search Console sitemap report. So here we are in the Google Search Console, and in the Search Console you have the sitemap option in indexing, and you can add your sitemap from here. You just have to add the sitemap's URL, and then you would have to click on submit, and then it will show all the sitemaps you have here, and you can get information about this sitemap by clicking on it, and it will tell you when it was last read, how many pages were discovered, and so these are the 3 sitemaps. So it will tell you about each sitemap. Like, it says when it was last read, how many pages were discovered, and it says sitemap processed successfully. So for example, if you have any errors, it will be shown here that sitemap has some errors or something. The next thing is that if you are using rank math, I'm not sure about Yoast, but if you are using rank math, it will automatically submit your sitemap to Google, just like I'm using rank math. So I don't need to resubmit my sitemap again and again when it has changes. So it does automatically for me. I'm telling you, it is not sponsored by rank math. I'm just telling you that I really like the plugin. The next is that you can use the Search Console API. Another thing is that you can use the ping tool. Some people say that it doesn't work much, but Google still has this in their documentation, so I guess it works. So this is the format that you should write: the https and then google.com/ping ? sitemap equals to the sitemap URL of your site. So if your sitemap URL is domain.com/sitemap.xml, you would write that here instead of this thing. The next thing is that you can add it in robots.txt. It is added by default in your WordPress site, but yeah, if you don't have WordPress site, you have to add it manually. So the line goes like sitemap and then the URL of the sitemap. So here it is Here is the sitemap file of my website, and here you can see that I have it is written the sitemap of the website. So it just looks like you should write sitemap and then the entire URL of your sitemap, and that brings us to the conclusion. So the first conclusion is sitemap is a file that helps search engine discover content. This doesn't guarantee crawling or indexing. It is just a file that you submit to search engines like Google, Bing, or any other, and it only helps them discover what pages you have and additional information about them, but it doesn't guarantee that your site or your pages will be crawled or indexed for that matter. The next is that you don't need a sitemap, but SEO plugins make and submit for you. Like when you are using WordPress and you have installed plugins, SEO plugins like Rank Math or Yoast, they automatically make a sitemap and automatically submit it for you. So even if you don't need a sitemap, they will make it for you. And the last thing is that you probably don't need an HTML sitemap. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will include all of the slides and all of the links mentioned in the video so that you don't have to write or make notes about anything. And in the next video, I will talk about the different type of sitemap extensions. So like image sitemap or news sitemap or things like that. So watch that video also. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you.